I mean, we are seeing a rise of neo-paganism in interesting ways. I know there's more pagans that are active online. I don't know what could happen. I don't think paganism is a religion that really can beat Christianity. I mean, just look at history. Christianity spread around the world and just beat paganism wherever it went.
Beat paganism wherever it went. As if you actually look at the history, number one, as you pointed out earlier, the idea that they were persecuted is true to an extent, but it's greatly exaggerated. Diocletian was pretty rough against them right before Constantine. And then at other times than that, there's a few little scuff marks that happen to them. Like any group, any cult's going to have their bad times and good times, like the Dionysian group, for example. It's not like they're like singled out as like the only people who got persecuted. In fact, during the reign of the Severan period, they were very much treated as like royals. The mother of Severus Alexander was a noble Christian woman. So and Philip the Arab was baptized, and they treated the Christians with great dignity. The Christians were treated great by the ruling pagan aristocracy. But what happened was, when Theodosius takes power, he decides to turn around and treat the pagans the way they claim to be treated. He shut down all the temples. He had all the statues torn down. He had all the funding stopped for all pagan religions. He neglected the mysteries, neglected the schools of philosophy, were pretty much dead by the time Justinian the Great comes along. He completely stops funding for all the pagan philosophers, all the Platonic academies. Done. And then they go into Europe and they start sacking cities and cutting down their sacred trees and outlawing all religions except for Christianity.
Yeah.
So they beat them wherever they went.
That's like
they
saying
didn't beat
Islam.
They didn't beat them philosophically. They beat them by canceling them and shutting them down.
I would argue they absorbed the world they were in, like any type of
disgusting.
Really, they evolved and became the environment they were in, and then squashed the pre-existing thing that was there.
After drawing from all this stuff, you turn around and then destroy them as if they're your enemies, and they were the ones that allowed you to be legal in the first place.
This is a fascinating point you bring up, Neil. That is how often we hear morality comes from Christianity, all these things that they argue. And when I hear them saying, I'm like, I heard that in Plato.
And they're drawing from the Stoics, they're drawing from the Cynics, they're drawing from the Pythagorean philosophy, they're drawing from Platonist philosophy.
Yeah.
They're drawing from all these schools of thought
that were already prevalent.
Epicurean, Aristotelian, all types of schools of thought that you find in Alexandria, that you find in Athens, that you find in Pergamum.
But they don't nod to them. They don't appreciate those. They want you to go, you're borrowing from us. And it's like,
but some of the early ones did. Justin Martyr nodded to Plato.
Yeah.
They did.
And not only nodded, he said Plato was a saint who's in heaven.
Right.
Bro.
The Carpocratians said that this as well. A lot of the early Christians did acknowledge, because they couldn't hide from it. They were still out there.
Right.
They're still living in that world. As soon as the Justinian rolls around, at post-Justinian, pagans are evil, demonic, worshiping devils and all this stuff. And that sort of hysteria, that's how you beat paganism wherever they were. To me, that's just like, it's just like you mentioned, it's like Muslims bragging that they went into Indian city and raided the city because they were Hindus.
Or the conquest of Islam is somehow attributed, and believe it or not,
to philosophy.
To many of them, they would say God was on our side.
Right.
That's why we wanted.
But does Michael Jones think that Islamic philosophy is what beat out paganism in the East?
Yeah. Would he say the theological arguments or somehow the morality of Islam?
Is anti-Muslim he would never say that.
Right. He wouldn't. And we're trying to be consistent and say, look, let's look at the good, chew the meat, spit out the bone. Neil, any final words from you?
Well, I mean, I think we just demonstrated fully that Michael Jones is as he points out, that we don't treat him on the same level as I do. I know you try to be, but I kind of abandoned even attempting to do that, because he's not serious, in my opinion. He's not coming seriously. He's not trying to find the truth. He's trying to find whatever. He's shopping around for scholars that agree with him. He's disregarding scholars that don't agree with him. To me, that's the sign of a person who is not serious.
It's not even